Wild Wednesday. It's the Jeff Dubay Show on a Wednesday. That's Wild Wednesday. It doesn't take much to be, an alliteration whiz. I mean, I think I had alliteration mastered at about the age of 5. Now, it comes pretty easy. If you speak the language, alliteration comes pretty easy. This is where you guys talk.
Is it kind of like when you do tongue twisters when you're a child? If you can do them well, then you're probably good at alliterations.
Yeah, I suppose there's something to that. I mean, I'm not by any stretch, a silver-tongued pitch person. I stutter, stammer. I'm all over the map. I mean, I sweat like a gallon of perspiration per hour of radio.
That might have been due to the liver and onions, or the au gratin potatoes.
The au gratin potatoes were. I mean, they come out of it. They come out of that oven nuclear. I mean, if you touch that ramekin, you might die. I mean, seriously. I mean, we're at Bennett's chopping it. Let's get people caught up. We're at Bennett's Chop and Rail House on West 7th. It is game night. It is a wild game night. So get on here. Sit down, have yourself a steak. I had the liver and onions. It was phenomenal. With the au gratin potatoes, which are so hot that it's like taking a steam. I had to go outside and cool down afterwards. I mean, it's like I seriously think if you touch the ramekin, you might die. Your hand might just.
You might have a burn. I don't know if you'd die.
Well, no, it'd be like a cartoon, where the guy's hand turns to ash and then falls to the ground. Yeah, just like that. So be careful. Beware of the ramekin. But the food is fantastic, and you can just catch the shuttle. Joe Bennett knows all the shortcuts. Trust me, I've taken that shuttle. I've taken it there and back more than once, and he knows the shortcuts. He gets you there fast. He gets you there reasonably intact, and it's going to be a hell of a night at the X. It's Game 4, first round, round 1. Wild Blues, Wild Lead 2-1. Wild Wednesday, Jeff Dubay, Tony Dean, Scott Schweitz. Patrick Disher is running spinning the knobs, turning the dials, whatever the hell it is he's doing. Gentlemen, I tell you what, after watching the first 3 games of this series, and seeing how close Charlie Coyle came to tying Game 2 with the crossbar, and then Jake Allen's ass crack, then it just does a little pirouette down the goal. I mean, for that puck to not go in.
And Backus. Don't leave out Backus saving him too.
Of course, our favorite guy. He's not even the main villain anymore. Ott has taken his place. But I mean, really, in all honesty, the Blues, I think, in many regards, are fortunate to be 2-1 right now. I mean, they were badly outplayed at home in Game 1, even more decisively outplayed on the road in Game 3.
Well, Game 3, absolutely. And nobody wants to say dominant win, including Mike Yeo, but I mean that was by all accounts a dominant win from top to bottom. I mean, when you hold Tarasenko to no shots after he came out and had his hat trick party down in St. Louis, that's a pretty big testament. And they have. I mean, you throw out that the new villain is Ott, but I mean that's what they've resorted to. If they can't compete on a hockey level, they have to compete on a after the whistle level and try to get us engaged in trying to get some other penalties. But I mean, the Wild have just laughed in their face, literally. And it's I'm sure that's even just getting more under their skin that they miss checks and do something else, and they try to mix it up, and we just sit and laugh at them.
How disenfranchised did the Blues have to be with Chris Stewart to trade him for Steve Ott? Because Stewart's, when you look at Stewart, there's something there. I mean, he's got some, he can play. He can take a shift. He can get up down the ice. He's got hands. I mean, he's a player.
That was part of the Miller trade, though, too.
Oh, was it also?
Yeah.
Okay. But but Ott is just garbage. I don't know. It's just.
I thought they picked up Ott from Dallas.
I thought the whole thing was Ott and Stewart were traded for each other.
They picked up Ott from Buffalo.
For Stewart.
Miller was in there.
And Miller was in the trade too.
Okay.
First round pick.
Tell about Miller, by the way. Coors Light, proud new sponsor of the show. Coors Light. You just stop the Miller talk right there. Coors Light, proud new sponsor of the Jeff Dubay Show.
I think what
I'm drinking it right now.
What you see is you see the Blues are trying to be a lot of things to exercise the demons of the past, and they're trying to promote that this season was going to be way different from the previous early round exits, and that just has not been the case. I mean, this team is flawed, even though it's talented. They can get frustrated. They lose their mind. We've seen it with Backus. We've seen it with Ott. Ryan Reeves has been in control, but he hasn't really had a person to pair up with, and that would normally be Chris Stewart, who is one of his really good friends. I think, when you see a guy like Ott not get what he wants out of it and make himself look foolish, all that does is detract from the Blues and provide them.
We're not on anymore. Tony's not on. Hello? I mean, we just went to dead. What just happened?
Lost it.
Right again. Hello? Okay, I can start to hear myself a little bit. Apologies to the listeners. We lost audio there for a second. It's coming back now, but it dropped. It was going to drop out. At least it did in the middle of a Tony Dean, tirade of sorts.
Nice.
I mean, it knew when to duck out. It's like
Welcome back, by the way.
It's like that app that tells you what time of the movie you can go take a leak and not miss anything. It's like this thing knew. It's okay. Tony's talking. I can take a dive. I can take a nosedive right now. But continue, Tony. Resume. Let me say.
Or just continue to verbal diarrhea. I think what we're looking at is we're looking at a team for the Blues that is certainly talented top to bottom, and they were looked at as a favorite to win the Cup this year. They have their superstar in Vladimir Tarasenko. They have the young kids. They bring back hometown hero Paul Stastny, who left Colorado, and this is going to be his better shot at the Cup. And Backes and Stastny have just been AWOL. They've been AWOL in 2 losses for the Blues, and I think tonight, if the Wild's able to manage a victory, I definitely see the Blues melting down on their home ice.
Well, and you don't even mention the fact that, nobody's talked about Oshie the whole time. Oshie basically is not even part of the conversation. Tarasenko's the only player on the Blues team that has has brought anything positive. I know
that was only one game.
I know Backlund had scored. He scored a goal as well. But for the most part, you're not seeing anything of a roster that is fairly star-studded as far as what they have component-wise, and are built to go deep into the playoffs. But they can never put it together.
Well, it's hard to play without the puck. It is, and the Wild are. The Wild are an elite puck possession team. Just that style of play. They do it as well as anybody. It helps that they've got speed up and down the lineup, and they've got guys all the way down to the third and fourth lines who know how to support a rush. And it's not an ugly brand of hockey. It's a fun brand of hockey to watch. When you got speed, you got skill, you got guys who are smart enough to look up and make a play. And it helps a lot that you have 6 puck moving defensemen. You don't have a sled out there. Can you think of a team that from top to bottom has 6 better guys that move the puck out of the zone?
Well, no, and it's not just the defensemen. It's the fact that the defensemen are they play well. In the roles that they play, but you also have the forwards coming back and doing some back checking, and that allows the defensemen to have a little better gap control. You're seeing it across the board that everybody is doing more than maybe they need to do in order to have a collective team that just is far superior, that have shown it over the course of 3 games. And I've heard a couple other interviews with people and read some things that said from scouts that basically said that the Wild have no holes, that they have 4 lines deep on forward, they have 3 lines deep on defense, and now they have a goaltender that can play and make the saves he's supposed to save and make some of the saves he's not supposed to save. And that's really the recipe for having a playoff contending team.
Yeah, if you look at Game 3 and you look at the way that this team responded on their home ice, the way that they were able to just stifle and eliminate the offensive possession for the Blues was to make sure that nothing got through their neutral zone uncontested. Every time that the Blues had the puck down in the zone, you had every single forward contributing to the back check, including Thomas Vanek for the haters. And when you talk about what a Mike Yeo system is, it's really a guy like Suter who he'll get a guy out from in front of the net. He's not going to blow up a guy with a big hit, but he's going to force everything to the outside. He's going to make it very clear for his goaltender where the puck's going to come from. And this Blues team has really struggled to get the puck into the zone, take it to the middle, and get their shots off. Especially TJ Oshie, who's just been completely absent. You look at Backes and Stastny and Oshie, and that's supposed to be your leadership and your veteran core. All 3 of those guys have been absent, or they've lost their mind and been emotional because they've been blanketed by the Wild.
Well, Backus especially. I mean, I showed you before the show that that Backus was trying to mix it up with Coyle.
Yep.
And he basically, like, the ref has separated him, and he's still trying to punch him in the face, like, through the ref. And Coyle just sat there afterwards and kind of, like, made commentary with the ref, saying, like, this is ridiculous. Like, what are they doing? And he wasn't trying to retaliate. He was just standing there and taking the hits. And I think in what was it? Was it game 1 or game 2 that somebody was hitting Parisi, and Parisi's like, go ahead and hit me again. Like, what are you going to keep hitting me? And he wasn't retaliating, but it was just funny. And the Blues have got to just...
I think it was Jackman.
It was Jackman. Absolutely, it was Jackman. And it has to just absolutely wear on you. I mean, if somebody is just mocking you to the point where you're trying to, like, play the game where you're getting under their skin and getting them riled up and off their, the way that they play, but it's completely backfiring, and it's almost like the Wild are thriving on the fact that you're playing like a bunch of idiots, and and they can joke and laugh about it and keep things light and play like in that light, loose sense and not tight. That it has to just put in an exclamation point on what we're doing.
Well, and we've seen this work in the Wild's favor in other instances as well. I mean, you could go way back to the run in 03. I mean, Ruutu and Cook with Vancouver were just jackasses. The whole series, they were just jackasses all the way to the time their season was over. And then what's his face, Landeskog last year. I mean, just a bitch. From game 3 on, that series was a mismatch. I mean, I know 7 went overtime, but from game 3 on, and there was some really, really questionable officiating in games 1 and 2. But from game 3 on, I think it was clear that one team was vastly superior to the other, and that's when Landeskog just became a complete bitch. I mean, we've seen guys, or not necessarily, I'm going to say teams, but seen guys unravel in this situation, and to our benefit. Let it happen again.
And you see it happening. You can see out there when a guy loses his mind, when he does stuff to cost his team, when he does it at the end of games to distract from the overall goal. I mean, this laugh at Ott hashtag is just unbelievable, because you have a kid like Dumba who's very susceptible. He wants to mix it up. He wants to have a big hit. He wants to make an impact, and he's 20 years old. I mean, this is a 20-year-old kid who's laughing at this guy.
Well, and Ott's little thing with Dumba at the bench was ridiculous.
And he can't get under his skin. He's not allowing it. And it goes to show you the leadership. You bring a guy in like Chris Stewart, and Chris Stewart is susceptible. He definitely wants to punch somebody in the face.
Yeah, he does.
He's being very smart.
I mean, with his boys, too.
I know.
Shattenkirk, he was... that's his boy.
I know. And Reeves, too. And Stewart is playing with an unbelievable amount of control for his personality. Because his personality is, it's go time. And it just shows the leadership. When you have a guy like Parise and you have a guy like Suter, and they lead by example, and Parise takes all these cheap shots, and he never does anything Bush League, I think that's what rallies your team. And it's not a guy like Backus who comes out here and he starts a fight with Darcy Kemper and he talks all the tough guy stuff. That's not what you want your leader to be. You want your leader to be a class guy. You want your leader to rise above things and perform when you need it. And that Parise goal in Game 3, where he just works his ass off and he works harder than everybody else on the rink and he gets rewarded for it. I mean, that's a signature moment of the series.
He can't get it through the legs like 4 times, and then he finally makes it through and puts it top shelf. I mean, and you could see the celebration. I mean, not only that, but when Pominville finally broke through and scored from the doorstep, I mean, that was... You can't get away from pure emotion when you clearly have... You've been right there, multiple scoring, scoring attempts and chances, and finally one goes in. I mean, that's kind of boils over, and then you get the second goal with Parise, and I mean, the Blues have to just feel absolutely dejected at that point.
To this point in the series, Zucker, Pominville, Parise, best player for the Wild so far through 3 games.
I mean,
Parise,
right?
Parise,
if you want to go heart and soul, Parise's got to be the guy, but you can't discount what Zucker brings to the table.
He's driving him nuts. I mean, that's not a fleet of foot team that we're playing against. I mean, St. Louis, they don't get up and down the ice very well, and a guy like Zucker he's their worst nightmare.
Well, and if we want to go back, I mean, I don't want to continue to talk about Ott, but I mean, in Game 2, Ott's petting him in the head, and Zucker just is standing there taking it. I mean, that's got to really just wear on you, especially if you're losing the game, to have somebody just pet you like a child. on the helmet. I mean, and he doesn't do anything. He just sits there and just looks at him and then skates away. I mean, he doesn't engage him. But I'm sure that's one of the things where they're like, if you're going to take note of a player like that, he clearly is somebody that you're talking about that that is making an impact.
Well, he's made Shattenkirk look like a pylon a couple of times, and Shattenkirk is no slouch.
I also think that every game and there's been a different guy. I mean, this is a deep team, and it's driven by many different factors. I wrote about it before Game 3. I think if the Wild has a chance at the Cup this year, you're going to need Mikael Granlund to elevate his game. And I think in Game 3, when he had the puck, he was fast with the puck, he was decisive, and he was aggressive, and that's not something that we've seen consistently out of him. And, concussions have played a part, him wanting to be more of a playmaker and playing with two guys in Parise and Palmaville. But really, Granlund needs to be the elite level talent that he can be with the puck, and he needs to be decisive. When he's waiting around, when he doubles back, when he flips the puck across the ice off of the rush, that drives me insane, because this is a guy that can dangle. This is a guy that has scored highlight reel goals in the Olympics, over in Europe when he was 18, 19 years old, and he was the best player on the ice. And
last year in the playoffs.
And so I've really looked at him as what you're going to get out of Koivu, and Koivu with Zucker is just a different animal. And I've loved Koivu this year. With the third line with Charlie Coyle and Vanek and Nino, they're going to get better as they play more together. And then you get a great boost from Bergenheim and Fontaine, I thought, in that game.
Yeah, I thought Bergenheim in Game 1 was he played fantastic, and that is really one of the reasons we picked him up, is because of his playoff performance.
In Game 3, he was hitting everything that moves. He looked like he was having a great
time.
So
you clearly see how they changed the dynamic of who they put in. They put Cook in for Game 2, and it didn't have the effect that they were hoping for. So they went back to the Game 1 roster, and obviously you see the effects of that. And I think Granlund's having a great series, but Coyle's having a great series. Coyle is playing the role and the way that they think that Coyle can play, and that's really what probably they thought he could play. Because, he is playing large, he's playing on the doorstep, he's playing calm, he's just doing all the right things, and in having somebody like him and Granlund that are anchoring your lines, that is key. And then, of course, Koivu is playing far better than he was early in the year, and I think everybody is playing at the level at the right time to to make something happen here this offseason. I don't want to get ahead of myself, but what I saw of Game 3, this is a team that you say Western Conference Finals, that's no joke.
Yeah. Hey, when you look at the Wild's playoff history, through the rich and deep tradition of the Minnesota Wild, the story tradition. Their playoff history has been fall behind in a series, whether it's 2-0 or 3-1, and it's just a constant, clawing your way back into it. Typically, you're quite frequently overcoming the deficit and then going on to win. But this is uncharted territory. They can do it. To me, what you want to talk about history, if St. Louis goes down 3-1 with their history, what it's been, I think the pressure collapses that team. I think 3-1, St. Louis is dead. You've got a chance for the first time in franchise history to grab a series by the balls.
3-1. I don't think this comes back here for Game 6.
I think 3-1's. Yeah, I think it's as dead as it can be. I think they sit in that locker room like, here we go again. God, it happened to us again. Before it's even done.
The thing that's so interesting about that point, I think the one thing that we just haven't seen completely out of this team is killer instinct. And I think, I wrote about it today, and killer instinct is going to be the key to controlling the series. If you can go up 3-1, I definitely don't believe it comes back here. I think that you move on, and you just extinguished a team that nobody wanted to match up with in the first round.
Including the Wild. Including the Wild, basically, if they pulled the team, probably they didn't, out of all of them, that's the one they wanted the least.
The Blues are the consensus pick in the West.
Sure.
They are. Or they have been.
I didn't want Anaheim just because of, I just thought Anaheim is a bad matchup traditionally for the Wild, because you go out there, you play 2 games in their rink, the travel is messed up, the size difference is messed up. You got guys like Kessler and you got Getzlov and that Corey Perry line, always just daggers the Wild. But, like I said, I wanted the Blues in the first round, because if you beat the Blues, you literally can beat anybody in the NHL. And tonight, if they're able to secure their home ice and win a game here, not only do you give yourself a chance to close out the series in St. Louis, but you give yourself a chance to close it out on home ice.
And I don't want to look past Chicago. I mean, if we're talking about, we're gonna wrap this thing up, which we're gonna have to continue to play the way we've played in games 1 and 3, especially. But if you get to Chicago, which in all likelihood it's going to be Chicago, it's nobody to look past. I mean, Chicago clearly has shown some great resiliency in these playoffs and won some games in 2 and 3 overtimes and really came back from that game 1 from the 3-goal deficit. I mean, all of that I think is it shows that team has some substance to it, and the fact that they've shown and shown us the door for the past 2 playoffs as well. So I mean, we're gonna have our our hands full if we make it past St. Louis, but I do believe that we do have the capabilities to make it all the way.
All right, let's take our first break. It is a wild Wednesday on the Jeff Dubay Show. We are at Bennett's. Bennett's Chop and Rail House, West 7th, just a few blocks east of 35E off West 7th. It's really easy to get to. Get down here, take the shuttle. It's game night, game 4, round 1. And Joe knows the shortcuts. Joe knows how to get you there. The Bennett shuttle is, by the way, it's not one of these tiny little, it's not like a bus like Tony used to ride to school. I mean, it's a spacious bus. It's a nice, well played, huh?
I don't even call it a shuttle. Yeah, it's a Bennett's. It's a Bennett's bus.
It's like a Partridge Family bus. Again, you're too young to get the reference, but I mean, it's a legit bus. I mean, it's roomy, it's comfortable. He's got the FM stereo going. He's got pre-game, post-game, everything you want to and from the game. Easy drop-off, easy pickup. It's a fantastic way to do it. Not to mention, you can stop in here at Bennett's for a little steak dinner, little cocktails afterwards, whatever suits you.
And what a great environment for hockey fans, too. This isn't a bandwagon place. This isn't a place where you get drunk 20-year-olds. I mean, this is an adult venue.
That's correct. This is an old-school St. Paul establishment kind of a place. And when you're here, don't be afraid to order up a Coors Light or two, because they are the official beer sponsor of the Jeff Dubay Show. Coors Light. Scott's having one right now. Is that 1 or 2? That's number 2 at least. Yes, attaboy. Attaboy. Keep knocking them down for our sponsors, the Coors Light. We'll be right back.
With Souhan Unfiltered, sports columnist for the Minneapolis Star-Tribune, Jim Souhan presents in-depth conversations with the best writers and sports personalities in the area. Souhan brings professional journalism flavor without the verbal censoring. Find out what unfiltered really means. Only on the Alive and Social Network. SouhanUnfiltered.com. Legendary Minneapolis-St. Paul sports radio personality Jeff Dubay's energetic sports talk jumps right into the nitty-gritty local sports details you're looking for. No one else is delivering you sports news, current events, and guests with Dubay's gusto. Join him live at any of his bar perches or live streaming Monday through Wednesday only on the Alive and Social Network. Just go to JeffDubayShow.com.
Promo. Apparently, energetic and schizoid are interchangeable. Energetic, Jesus. I feel I'm a pretty lethargic human being. I've prided myself on my level of lethargy and my use of the word lethargy. But it is a wild Wednesday. We're at Bennett's. It's Jeff Dubay, Tony Dean, Scott Schweitz, Patrick Disher. Maybe I shouldn't be mentioning you because we've had some technical difficulties. You might not want your name attached to this one. It's like a shitty painting. You don't want to sign this one. No, I'm messing with you, buddy. Just messing with you.
All of your paintings go in the refrigerator, Patrick.
No,
It's all good, guys. Don't worry.
He's you know what? He's been crushing it in sales. So I mean, we're just trying to keep his head, from getting too. He's from Minnetonka. I mean, you always got to reel in the egos when you're dealing with people from Minnetonka. Minnetonka, West Eddy,
What a great opportunity here. I wasn't here last week. You had Tom Chorsky on.
Yes.
We have Ben Remington back from Wild Extra. I mean,
I believe Lou Nanny next week, by the way. Lou Nanny next week on Wild Wednesday.
Lou Nanny.
I hope people realize that the Wild Wednesday show has just been an opportunity and has taken off, and it's really been whirlwind. We started in Minneapolis.
Oh, we're not the Beatles.
Tony brings the duckies and bunnies to this show. He brings the softness and the feel good moments.
I just watched that HBO documentary, Crossfire Hurricane, about the Stones. Now that's a whirlwind. I mean, like when you got women chasing you down the street, tearing your clothes off. I mean, that is yet to happen to the crew of Wild Wednesday.
We're talking about podcast world, though.
Well, yeah, okay. Whirlwind is a relative term, I guess.
So here's what I'm saying. There's other podcasts out there, and they would love to have our numbers. I
Yes.
mean, being honest about it.
Oh, I know. I'm just giving you a hard time.
And so,
Scabs.
right? But what we do is we cross-promote, which I think, especially you, Jeff, you should get credit
Well, thank
for
you. Thank you very much.
bringing guys on
Puffy.
and allowing them to promote their stuff. And I think that's really important, especially since the internet media of the Wild before this year was very snipey and there wasn't a lot of community. And I would say this year there's been more community. And these guys do a lot of great things. Right now on Hockey Wilderness, they have a hashtag LaughItOt that just is trending on Twitter now, and I think that was pretty genius. Our guys, Ben Remington, he does a podcast over there, and they do a good thing. Lenny Doubles, he was on the show earlier this year.
Yeah, that's right.
And he has a podcast as well. So I think
It's Lonnie, by the way.
Lonnie, my fault.
I know, it's a not.
And you weren't even supposed to say his name, right?
Oh yeah, at the time, yeah. He was like,
Are you still supposed to not say his name?
It's like
Is it all good
it's
now?
like he was like the guy from Watergate or something. It's like he's Deep Throat or whatever the hell. I mean, it's like
He sits
whatever.
in the corner in the dark.
But whatever, the Mr. X, whatever. Yeah, it was. Hey, Lonnie, I got news for you. You're not that important, and it wasn't that mysterious. He's a buddy of mine. I've known him.
As you allowed him to know during the podcast, as you said his name.
Yeah, I did
many
it intentionally. Well, I mean, you gotta. It's like, dude, you're not that important. The world's gonna come to an end if you appear on my podcast. But yeah, we were jock washers back in the day. Back at the Metrodome for the glory years of the Minnesota Twins. And he's, by the way, another skipper, Minnetonka High School. Yeah, I mean, I'm used to you people. I've been dealing with you my whole life. I mean, you grew up in Hopkins. You got this little blue-collar community surrounded by Edina, Wayzata, Minnetonka. I mean, we learned how to put up with the high-end mighties. When you BMW driving, sherry sipping, what?
So aggressive. You know what? Patrick helped launch the Jeff Dubé Show Wild Wednesday Facebook page. 500 likes this week.
Yep.
You're kind of being like Steve Ott-esque, and then he's just sitting back like the Wild is not taking your shit. Like he's like whatever. He's like, go ahead and keep talking trash about me. I'm not going to engage.
Well, that's the thing, because Patrick, maybe we're just, what we're doing? We're doing the Big Brother toughen you up kind of thing.
He's going to come at you in a fit of rage one of these times.
But you know what? The little brother's got to stand up for himself at some point, right? Isn't that the whole? Wow. I mean, didn't your sisters kick the shit out of you for many years?
I didn't have. I had moms. I told you, 3 moms. That's basically they were older, so
that's true.
They didn't have any sister bonding moments. It was
true.
moms.
I did see that, but yeah, I had a front row.
Must be nice to have somebody to run behind, huh? You must have just gotten everybody in the neighborhood in trouble. I'm proud of you.
All right, back to the Wild. It is a Wild Wednesday. It's a game night, so get down here to Bennett's Chop and Rail House. Jump on that shuttle with Joe Bennett. You'll be a changed man once you do. One ride with Joe Bennett, and you'll never look at buses the same way again. Get down here, take the shuttle in and out. It's easy drop off, easy pickup, and have a couple of Coors Lights while you're down here, because they are the official beer sponsor of the Jeff Dubé Show. Guys, we're sitting here talking about 3-1 being a stranglehold. Hey, Joe Bennett. There's Joe Bennett, everybody. Hey, you're not drinking before you get behind the wheel of that bus, are you?
I'm not driving the bus tonight.
Who's driving the bus?
I got my main man, Tommy Pedro.
He can't be as good as you.
Nobody is as good as me.
Oh, jeez, I hope people get that.
What are you doing? You going to the game?
I'm going to the game.
Of course
Hey,
you are.
I saw him at the game on Monday.
Yeah.
He was full tilt.
He's big time.
How do you not try to go to these Wild games?
100%.
That crowd is as amazing as anything you ever get a chance to be a part of.
He says try. I mean, the man's a St. Paul institution, or at least he belongs in one. But I mean, you want to go to a game? You just you've got people just begging you to visit their suites. You've got how many suite invitations do you have tonight?
None.
Oh, bull crap.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, you don't bullshit a shitter.
I mean, but I think Joe makes a good point. I mean, this right here, it's a special run. You want to be in the building. It's memorable. I mean, tonight especially, when we talk about Killer Instinct, when you talk about taking the series,
Yep.
taking control, tonight is going to be such a pivotal moment in this series.
Well, you can make the argument that the winner tonight wins the series.
Oh, 100%. I think going into it, both these teams know
I don't know if I'd go that far.
Well, if the Wild win it, it's over.
I don't think that.
But if St. Louis evens this thing up, and then I'm not saying it's over for the Wild, but I mean you'd have to give a slight nod to the.
Well, of course, but I still think with the way that they've shown they played, unless we get
don't get me
absolutely
wrong.
blown out,
Well,
then no.
I'm not saying it's doomsday.
Okay.
I'm not saying it's doomsday.
All right, I just want to rein it back in.
But whoever wins tonight is clearly the favorite the rest of the way. But okay, we'd clearly be at 3-1. But I mean, they'd be up. They'd be up off the mat.
We'd lose the home ice advantage, and we'd have to go back there. But we showed after the All-Star break we're a better road team than we are a home team. So I mean,
there's certainly arguments though that we're in a bubble here, and we know a
overall, I mean, we've dropped some games that maybe we shouldn't have, and with last change, I mean, they say that that's not as important, come the playoffs, is because everybody's ready for everybody, and that's how you basically get. And I don't know if that necessarily holds up, considering that you have the matchups with the lines. But I mean,
last change is certainly important. Maybe if you have you have 4 lines worth of tree trunks at center, and you have a skilled team, and it doesn't matter. But last change is certainly important for the Wild because you don't want to get trapped out there with the Granlund line that's a little bit smaller. They work hard, but they can get trapped in the zone. You want to match up Brodziak and Bergenheim and Fontaine with different lines. You don't want Vanek to get.
Are you surprised Bergenheim's getting the time he is?
Not after I've seen him play.
But no, he has played well. But nope. I would have thought going in that Ryan Carter would have.
I don't think at all that I'm surprised by the fact that how he played in Game 1. I'm more surprised that they took him out.
Yeah.
In Game 2.
Yeah, that was kind of strange.
And the reason that they did is because I believe they put Cook in, and then because they put Cook in, they also had to pull Fontaine out, and that's why they put Schrader in.
Well, no,
because of right and left-handed shots.
But they didn't pull Fontaine out. Fontaine was sick. Fontaine came out of the lineup because he was sick. And so
then it was reversed. Basically, if Fontaine came out, they had to get Cook in there, and that was the offset. But I don't think they would have pulled Bergenheim out for no reason.
But the other part of it is Mike Yeo wants to make sure that he does his very best to not lose any guys. And Cook's a guy that he's leaned on because they have the history together. They have the history with the system. And Cook was very important last year, especially with the way he played. This year, Cook belongs in the press box just because he hasn't gotten it going. The injury cost him time. I think Bergenheim, in the role that he's playing now, with the focus that he is, just go out there and hit people, try to create, try to blend a little bit with Fontaine and Brodziak. Try to if you're not even going to get a shot on the goalie, get it down in the corners and kill some clock and limit the opposition. I mean that's that Brodziak line specialty is just maintaining possession, allowing the rest of the team to get some win, and using their opportunity to bang on the opponents and just take some energy away.
There was a lot of talk coming into the series about the depth of the St. Louis blue line. Shattenkirk and I'm struggling for the name.
Pietrangelo.
Yeah, Pietrangelo.
And Gunnarsson.
Yeah, I mean,
Bouwmeester.
You call him Pietrangelo? Is that like Michelangelo?
It's Pietrangelo.
Yeah.
Well, the Gophers used to have a goalie, Frank Pietrangelo, back in the day. But anyway, I digress again. The simple fact of the matter, from what I've seen, Shattenkirk has not had a good series. Pietrangelo, whatever the hell his name is, he's flashed. I mean, he can be dynamic offensively. He's taken some chances, and he's been noticeable. But I'm starting to wonder if this blue line core isn't a little slow afoot for this matchup, because I see guys turning the corner a lot.
I totally agree. I mean, and then you look at Jackman, who previous years he was a guy that really just killed the Wild. I mean, he was a guy that banged on us, and he was physical, and it mattered. And this series specifically, he takes a bad penalty. He looks a step slow. You have Michalek, who they added at the trade deadline, who's a former Minnesota Wild, and a lot of people thought, well, maybe if you don't get Leopold, you get Michalek. They gave up a lot for him, and he hasn't looked good either. I mean, their blue line has really, it should be cause for concern for them because it's supposed to be a strength, and it hasn't been.
Well, Bouwmeester too. I mean, Bouwmeester's another. I think he's a elite defenseman across the league. I mean, or has been in the past. I mean, maybe he's been overpaid, a little bit here and there, and been bounced around Calgary and Florida and whatever. But I mean, he is a known commodity. I mean, and they can't take away from I'm looking at the lines right now, and they got Bouwmeester and Pietrangelo on the first line. They got Gunnarsson, Shattenkirk, and they got Jackman and Michalik. That basically is, if they're playing to the levels that they can play, that's pretty damn deep. And granted, I'm not taking anything away from our defensemen, but they're names that are not household. I mean, they're basically names that are under the radar, but they play their roles so well that they are as good or as effective as any other elite pairings in the league.
If you look at this version of Bouwmeester, I mean, it's pretty stark because previously he was a guy that produced points, that carried the puck, used his ability to have foot speed and carry.
I also remember he would one that would release one from the point and just he'd be one that you'd have to worry about the shot like Dumba is now. But I mean he has kind of disappeared.
This is and this version of him is just a shadow of what he used to be, and it's really, I mean, they're locked into a long-term contract with him, and it's harming them.
Isn't that kind of what you're seeing with a lot of these players though? I mean you can go right down and look at Steen, Backus, Oshie. I mean, all three of them have been shadows or shells of what they can play in this series. You got Jaden Schwartz, who during the regular season had played very, very well. Laterra showed that he has some ability.
And honestly, Laterra's been their best center. He's been dominant in the faceoff circle. He's helped create for Tarasenko. He's been defensively responsible. Bouwmeester or Backus and Stasny have really they need to pick it up.
And you got Stasny on the third line, coming up this game with playing with Jaskin and Berglund.
Okay, let me ask you this. This is kind of funny to me, and maybe I'm off base here. But we're talking about Backus being MIA. We're talking about Oshie being MIA. We're talking about Stasny being MIA. And how could not once yet on the show has the name Mikko Koivu been uttered?
Well, basically, the reason why they're invisible is because
Koivu's got something to do with it. I mean, come on.
I'm saying the reason they're invisible is because we're playing well against their top lines, and we're playing the possession game, so they're not having a chance to play the game that they play. And once you take a team like that off the game that they're comfortable playing, that's it. I mean, they don't have a way to flex.
Well, we neutralized Chicago's top line last year too. For a good 4 or 5 games at least.
But we're deeper this year than we were last year. Right. I think we're deeper across 4 lines.
I just think that this is an area where Koivu was underappreciated by the fan base. To be honest with you,
Koivu was always going to be underappreciated by the fan base, but myself included.
Not probably recently. I think recently people have taken note that he has played far better than he did in the beginning of the season. Myself included would say that he has come on strong.
But ironically, it's because they see some offense from him, and they still maybe don't appreciate some of the nuances.
But I also think it's who he's playing with. When you have a guy like Jason Zucker who can carry the puck, he can get in the zone, and he allows Koivu an opportunity to get where he can be effective offensively. And
Stewart too.
And
Stewart is complimenting that line very much.
Don't you think Stewart and Koivu create space for Zucker?
I think so.
Yeah, and I think that they just have. They have a very good idea of what they're trying to accomplish every time that they enter the zone and they touch the puck. And the other thing is you're getting scoring from the other lines, so you're looking less to Mikko Koivu to be the superstar player that he's paid as, or that you believe he should be offensively.
And people were really getting down on the first line, if you want to call it the first line of Parise, Granlund, and Pominville because they weren't scoring, and then they came out in Game 3 and scored. I mean, they were close in the other games, but they were like, oh, when are your top lines going to start scoring? And that's what you see the result of. The other thing that Koivu does, and Koivu and Stewart and bringing Vanek down to that third line, playing with Coyle, and now Nino being on that line because of Zucker, is you really get further line depth. You can't have an opponent discount your top 3 lines because all 3 of them can score. All 4 of them can score, but all 3 of them are very, very dangerous. You mean the fourth line maybe not so much. I mean with Brodziak and Fontaine is a catalyst, but with Bergenheim that's not their role. But top 3, any one of them has dangerous scoring potential.
And for Mikko, it's health too. I mean, last year he broke his leg, and then he comes back and he plays before probably 90% of the players in the league play. This year, I'm not his physician, so I don't know exactly if he's 100% healthy, if he's 74% healthy, but he's taken less damage because they've had more of an opportunity to deploy Kyle Brodziak and deploy Charlie Coyle in roles, banging on opponents' top players and fighting in the corners. So it's allowed Koivu to be more of a well-rounded player rather than the big center that has to take the matchup against the guy that and move him out of the paint.
And not just that, you got the depth. I mean, you have so much depth that you got guys that are sitting in the press box that have done this year. You got Ryan Carter that played that role very well this year. You have Jordan Schrader that came in for periods of time that he was playing the roles that you needed him to play. I mean, you have guys that are, Matt Cook, he was out the majority of the year, but you have guys that can do the different roles, so you don't have to worry as much about wearing out your other players, and you can kind of plug and play people. Now, I think we've kind of found a really nice mix, especially against this Blues team. Maybe that's going to be a different mix if we go on to another team, but clearly the speed is killing their brute strength, and that's it's more than that they can handle right now.
Let's get our final break in, take it to the top. It is a Wild Wednesday. We're at Bennett's Chop and Rail House. Stop on in here. It's game night. Get that shuttle to the game. This is the easy way to do it. You park for free right here on the street. We're on West 7th in Victoria. It's easy parking, all kinds of street parking. And just hop that shuttle. Free, easy, free, in and out. You're going to be glad you did it. And you have a nice little dinner here, a little cocktail afterwards, whatever suits you. And while you're here, make sure to enjoy a Coors Light, the official beer sponsor of the Jeff Dubay Show.
Reach for this one.
Just when you thought it was safe to go back online.
Let's turn it on. That took a very PG direction.
Along comes this hit show.
I'm constantly burping on stage.
Hey, you heard about Madonna, right?
Twin Cities hit show with Rusty, Courtney, and Chuck.
Had she fallen to the ground and her eyes rolled into the back of her head, what would you, Tim Mahoney, have done?
I'd have tried to make out with her.
Get in line!
The Twin Cities hit show with Rusty, Courtney, and Chuck airs live daily, 9:30 to 10:30 on the Alive and Social Network.
Ever swallowed a bug or choked like Courtney on stage? Yeah. I meant to do this.
With Suhan Unfiltered Tribune, Jim Suhan presents in-depth conversations with the best writers and sports personalities in the area. Suhan brings professional journalism flavor without the verbal censoring. Find out what unfiltered really means. Only on the Alive and Social Network. SuhanUnfiltered.com.
I thought you were talking about our
We're back at the home stretch, Wild Wednesday, Jeff Dubay Show. We are at Bennett's Chop and Rail House, West 7th, St. Paul. I am not taking a shuttle tonight, but I have in the past. It's fantastic. Joe Bennett does have satin shoes, by the way.
We did a show.
We did a show. That is correct. And it was seamless. It was fantastic. Well, thank God it was McGovern and not Pat. No, I'm just kidding, Patrick.
How good is it? You're just like you're taking shots
because this guy's become my hero. He's my champion. I mean, he came to the Alive and Social Network when I didn't have two dimes to rub together, and he's just all he's doing is he's selling me left and right.
I think the line is 2 nickels.
It's whatever. I didn't have two anything. I had 2 balls to rub together. He's selling the shit out of the show. It's fantastic. And can you tell?
Great show. It's easy to sell. You guys are awesome.
Wow.
Come in.
Yeah, there's the little brother suck up again. No, I'm just kidding you, Patrick. I appreciate the kind words. So anyway, that's just we're not done with Blues Wild. But let's take a quick look at some of these other series that are going on. Anything catching your eye? I mean, the Hawks are up 3-1, but it's been a much more hotly contested series than that. I mean. You had a triple overtime game in Game 4. You had the implosion with the overtime loss in Game 1 for Nashville. I mean, this thing's been a lot more competitive than 3-1 might indicate.
Especially with the fact that they were up 3-0.
Yeah.
And then they pull Crawford and the Darling kid comes in there. You know, the hometown kid comes in and steals that game. And what do? They go back to Crawford for game 2.
I thought was the right move.
What a bunch of dipshits! You ride the hot hand. That's the number one rule of hockey.
But if you're the Blackhawks,
no,
and you're thinking cup. I mean, you're thinking cup, and you're thinking, how am I more likely to win the cup with Corey Crawford or with this Darling character? I mean,
maybe, but I mean, if you come in and he shows what he showed, and I think he earns game 2.
Well,
he earns game 2 with giving you the chance to come back from 3-rip to win an OT.
Yeah, I mean,
being honest about it, sitting here with Dubnyk, I'm glad that the Blues, the Blackhawks, Anaheim, I'm glad that they have 2 goaltenders that might be the guy or might not be the guy. Same thing up in Vancouver. You got Miller and you got Lack. I mean,
you really didn't think that about Chicago, though. Going into the playoffs, you did not think that about Chicago. They were a 1 goaltender.
No, because they bounced around their second goalie all year. I mean, they had the Finnish kid that Antti Ranta, and that chose Chicago over us, and then.
I don't like Auntie as a man's name. It sounds like you're talking about your auntie.
Auntie?
I always thought Auntie Laxon. It sounded like your little auntie who lives up in Finlayson or something.
Or you're like against somebody,
well, that too. But I was thinking more of it, in terms of your mother's or father's sister.
I get it. That's a pronunciation thing.
I don't buy the hype, man. I think I don't buy the hype with Darling because I think everybody wanted to match up with Nashville. Nashville looked as vulnerable as any team in the Western Conference playoffs into the playoffs.
I hope they ride. If the Wild get Chicago in round 2, as a Wild fan, I want Darling in the net.
Oh, yeah.
Well, of course you want Darling in the net because you want him to crack, and then you want Crawford to be broken-hearted on the bench and say nobody loves me anymore, and they sit me down for this unknown commodity, and it's like, now I guess I'll go in and play. Okay, like sadness, but. I mean, as a coach, you'd think you would have to roll the guy that just stole you a game. I would think so. And then what happens? You roll the other guy and you lose.
Well, the thing is, Crawford wasn't playing horribly in game 2 until the floodgates opened late. And then, that was some of the weirdest. I know that they fell behind and they had to sell out a little bit. But, we're talking just odd man rush every time down the ice. It was a bizarre 3 minutes of hockey where Nashville opened up on Chicago in game 2. And one of the goals, even though it was like a 2-on-0, or maybe a 2-on-1 half. Crawford still should have had it. It was kind of just under his stick arm.
Fallopian tube.
Wow, that's aggressive.
Yeah, that is aggressive.
But
he should have had it. But nonetheless, it was floodgates, and they hung him out to dry in that game.
Not to get too far ahead of the bit, but really, it's setting up for the Wild. They win tonight. They eliminate the Blues. You have a chance to exercise the demons against Chicago, who Chicago's not built like they were in Stanley Cup years. They added Kimmo Timonen, who's old. They're relying on Kane, who's coming off an injury. They have some internal strife because possibly Patrick Sharp had sex with a teammate's wife. This group.
No, I heard about that.
This group in Chicago.
That's very slapshot.
Not the same group, man.
Hammerhand.
You give Bickle all this money. Where's Bickle at? I think that. I hope that Chicago comes out of there. This Wild team has a chance to go in there, prove that they can beat them after being eliminated 2 years in a row.
It would exercise a lot of demons.
Just momentum. Just a lot of momentum.
You know what exercise more demons? If I'm really getting ahead of the bit. We go back Anaheim style, circa 2003, and basically give a big thumb to the nose and say, "Hey, where's your goaltender now?" And like, give him a big "fuck you."
Just a trifecta. Why not, man?
All right. Well, a quick glance at that series. The Ducks up 3-0. It's as over could be. Of all the first round matchups, the one in the West where a lower seed was getting a lot of hype was Winnipeg.
I'm amazed that it's 3-rip. I'm really surprised that it is 3-rip.
Well, they did lose an overtime game where they had a third period lead in game 3. You win that game and you're right back in it.
But you know what's interesting about that series? You have a young team, and the leadership there is a little bit Bush League, a la the St. Louis Blues. When it comes to Dustin Byfuglien punching a guy in the back of the head,
yeah.
You get rid of Kane because he wears sweats to the thing. You put his clothes in the shower.
And Byfuglien threw his stuff in the shower. So Byfuglien basically is the root of that evil.
And that team is led by Andrew Ladd and Dustin Byfuglien, right? And so then they show up to the playoffs, and they're gonna end up probably out on their.
By the way, I'm
high end.
absolutely floored that there's no disciplinary action taken for him just smoking Perry in the back of the head after he scores. Just an absolute display of just no control, no discipline, no nothing. He scores and then you smoke him and knock him over and there's nothing. Come on, NHL. You're better than that.
You got to do a lot to get suspended in the playoffs.
But I think that's warranted. I mean, that's a blatant disregard for
Matt Cook managed. Matt Cook got suspended.
Yeah, and that was borderline. I mean, I think that was argue that was incidental.
Well,
it was reputation.
He wouldn't need.
No, that was his reputation. That had nothing to do with it.
But
it would have been any other player. He would not have got suspended.
He wouldn't need a knee with the kid who has a bright future and ruined his knee and put him out, and that affected the series.
God, I'm going to go into tears because I think some guy that we just talked about named Bufflin smoked a little guy named Grayland who has a bright future, but nobody gave a shit.
Well, and here's the other thing: you punch Corey Perry in the back of the head. I don't care.
Corey Perry's important to the NHL.
One shit at all. Corey Perry's also an asshole.
I keep getting Corey Perry mixed. Didn't he perform at halftime of the Super Bowl?
Yeah,
he was fantastic. He was fantastic.
Which is a great
that was the chant.
The Winnipeg, and we hate Winnipeg fans.
Yeah, we do.
We do. And by we, I mean Scott Schleitz he just destroys them.
No Jets, no.
But we always talk about playoffs, building contempt, building rivalries. I mean, it already existed with Vancouver and Calgary, but talk about taking it to another level. This is what the playoffs looked like in the 80s. You might not remember, but in the 80s, you'd have the Stars would play the Hawks in the first round, then they'd get St. Louis or Detroit in the second round, and the same teams every year, and there would be fights. You'd actually have fights in the playoffs. I mean, you don't see that kind of stuff anymore, Vancouver Calgary's been just vicious.
Well, the funny thing is, at Game 1, I think that it was a great indicator of maybe how the series was going to go because Ott was running his mouth and Stewart looked straight at him and basically let's go. And then Ott went back to the bench and, with his tail between his legs, I'm not going to drop him with you because I'd get my ass smoked if I did. And it was if he wanted to, Stewart would have gone toe-to-toe with him, but that wasn't Ott's game. Ott wasn't going to drop him at all.
It's Clutterbuck hockey. I mean, him and Clutterbuck play a similar role. Clutterbuck was our guy, so he was our guy. We enjoyed him hitting people, stirring stuff up, getting teams off of their game plan. That's what Ott has tried to do. Hasn't been effective. When David Backes involves himself, it's much more important to the game because David Backes, not only does he matter, but he's their captain, and he sets the tone kind of for their team. So when David Backes is involved in stupid stuff after the whistle, he punches a kid like Coyle in the face, drops his gloves, doesn't get a penalty for it. I mean, it's just showing how little the officials are taking control of the game. They're not holding them accountable. And the Wild has not lost their mind. They haven't let it affect their game.
I was just doing it, and Jeff wasn't even looking at me.
The double pump.
The Pistons.
The Pistons firing. It was perfect. Very class move with the hat. Just frat boy, hat backwards, doing the double fist.
For sure. And he saw it. I'm sure it got in his head.
Hey, when you look at the East, Montreal's got it wrapped up. But you've got some intriguing series beyond that. The Capitals Islanders has been as good as it gets.
Speaking of Clutterbuck, he hit the post last night.
Yeah, and he celebrated.
Yep.
The idiot. No. He's such a jackass. You don't celebrate pipes unless you're playing the post game in warm-ups. You're shooting for the post.
I heard. I think it was
McGuire. An assist, though.
McGuire said that's the best fourth line in hockey. It's Clutterbuck and whoever he plays with for the Islanders.
Congratulations.
I love how it's the best, and you can't even fix whoever else he plays with.
Yeah, that's like the prettiest girl in South Dakota.
There's a guy. He's got a C and a Z
hey,
and a lot of other letters.
Oh, my bad. Well, yeah. Did she stay there? No.
She's here. She's a Minnesotan now.
That's what I'm saying.
All right, right on.
The other thing, Hamburglar who? I went on Twitter and I just said the Ottawa Senators story is not more remarkable. It's not more national newsworthy than the Minnesota Wild, and they showed up to the playoffs to get bounced. And the Hammond, good for him. I mean, it's nice to see a kid, but he wasn't more impressive than Dubnyk.
We're a far stronger story, but we're just not Ottawa. That's basically it.
And they're about to get bounced in the first round.
If you want to look at the Eastern Conference version of St. Louis, the team that everybody expected to come out and still do, the New York Rangers. Now they responded. I mean, a lot of people still waiting to see if the Blues have any kind of response for the position they've been put in. But the Rangers, they give up Game 2 at home. They went to Pittsburgh for Game 3 and throttled they throttled the Penguins. I mean, it was pretty impressive.
That's what if anything I'm worried about is the fact that all this, printed news and stories and quotes and everything else that, the Wild have been very good and very cautious about giving any sort of billboard material or bulletin board material, but I think that's what they're looking for is basically the Blues want to rally about something and come out. My thought is if we can weather the storm in the first period, they're going to revert back to their old ways, and it's just going to backfire on them. That's my prediction. We'll see if it pans out.
The thing that I get confused about is you'll see other fan bases, and just in general, you'll see the Minnesota Wild not participate in the BS that takes place during the playoffs. Whether it was Colorado last year, whether it's the Blues this year, and Ott and Backus and different guys trying to take shots, and
Jackman,
Ryan Reeves running the tiny guys like Spurgeon and you see
or Ott trying to stick his fingers in Spurgeon's mouth.
And so you see no response from the NHL officiating at all. And then you look at how few penalties that this Minnesota Wild team generates in general, but I never see them bitch about it. I never see them try to call the action or call the officiating. Even Mike Yeo, he'll always do his very best to take the high road. The one thing I worry about is at what point do you start getting the calls? At what point do you get credit?
Bitching's like pissing in the wind, though. Nothing's going to happen. You're just going to get mad and you're going to get full piss.
That happens if you piss in the wind. Yeah.
It's basically nothing's going to happen.
Nothing good.
The only person that can do anything is going to be your general manager, your owner. That's the only person that's going to do anything about the officiating.
But my point is, you look at that Patrick Kane penalty earlier against Chicago this year.
I think it's good. I think the fact that we've felt this all year is probably better. Rodney, who said the Rodney Dangerfield comment? Was that like the no respect? Was that last week or week before? But it's basically like Rodney Dangerfield. You're basically like, whatever, fine. You're not going to treat me with respect? Fine. I'm not going to retaliate. I'm not going to do anything. I'm going to sit idly by and watch you not make calls. But at least, you're going to act the right way and not get calls called on you.
All right, guys, 30 seconds each. What do you look for tonight?
Go ahead.
I'm hoping we see what we saw out of Granlund. I think that they're going to look to target him. They're going to look to try to eliminate him as a puck carrier. I'm hoping that Mikael Granlund steps up, elevates his play, and does what we know he can do is be a superstar in this league.
My thought is that you don't let the emotion in the crowd get into it too much right away. You weather St. Louis's storm, and you continue to play your game, and I think you're going to come out same as you did in Game 1 and Game 3.
We get concerned at all about the chippy stuff in terms of maybe they're done.
Injuries?
They're about to go down 3-1. They're pissed. They run the goalie.
If they're
something stupid.
If put it this way, I think Dubnyk is big enough that I don't have to worry about that. And plus, I've seen, as we saw in Game 2, that he was hacking at Ott's shins, basically, or his calves. So I'm not concerned about him. I think he has a little mean streak in him. If anything, you're concerned about somebody running Zucker and Spurgeon. You saw that a little bit, but this team is such a team mentality that anybody touches anybody, and the whole team will fight. Basically, they will do anything it takes. If you touch my guys, I'm going to come and beat the shit out of you. I think the goaltender was about to do it.
If you run Dubnyk, he's punching you.
Dubnyk skated over to defend Spurgeon and basically called the ref hey, he's scraping his face. Go do something about it. Not just being a goaltender. I don't think you'd see, not knocking Nicholas Backstrom, but he wouldn't do that. He's in his little zone. But you got kind of the pack mentality here.
Well, he has to reel himself in. He wants to in the scraps. He wants in the fight. I love that, and I think the team loves it.
Thanks to Bennett's Chop and Rail House for hosting us again on a Wild Wednesday, and thanks to our beer sponsor Coors Light. They've been flowing freely here at Bennett's. It's been a lot of fun. It's game night. It's Game 4. Get up. Get ready. It's Game 4, and it's a pivotal one. The Wild could grab this one by the short curlies. They absolutely have an opportunity they've never had previously in franchise history. Let's see how they do. For Patrick Fisher, Tony Dean, and Scott Schweitz, I'm Jeff Dubay. This has been the Wild Wednesday.
We'll see you next week.